I don't want no oil a-spoiling my shoreline. I like fish much better than crud. I like birds and things a-creeping and crawling. Won't trade no more oil for blood. The sun done give us all we need to make this country run. But that black demon oil's got us fussing and fighting, and I do believe it's time we was done. I don't want them nukes run by them kooks who think radioactivity is fun. No more three-headed frogs or kids with leukemia. Nuclear power ain't fit for a dog. The sun done give us all we need to make this country run. But that nuclear power's got us fussing and fighting, and I do believe it's time we was done. No nukes!
Good morning, Toledo, and good afternoon, Columbus. Good evening, Bowling Green, and hello to our listeners on the Pacifica stations and the internet, wherever and whenever you may be. My name is Joe DeMare, and I'm here with my wonderful co-host,
Rebecca Wood.
Yes, and together, Rebecca and I are going to craft an hour of unforgettable radio called For a Green Future. For a Green Future is a show where we talk about ecology and the environment, and we talk about it in the ways that it affects you, your wealth, your health, your happiness, the wealth and health and happiness of your friends and family, and basically the whole country and the whole world, because, like it or not, everybody and everything, we are all wrapped up on this tiny, wonderful little planet called Earth. And we have a terrific show for you today. No guest today. This happens occasionally. You know, life kind of just creeps up on you, and you get some people that we just weren't able to schedule anybody for today, which means this is a perfect day if you've been listening and you'd like to make a call. You'd like to call in at 877-909-1007. That's 877-909-1007. So we're just going to chat for a while, and then down at the bottom of the hour, we're going to hear from our patrons. Our patrons are just these fantastic people, you know, that we are just eternally grateful to. And after that, Rebecca, it'll be your turn at the mic. What have you got?
Mugwort.
Mugwort. Okay. And then,
no, that's not a disease that I have. It's a plant.
All right. That's a relief. So, and then, and then it'll be ecological news from around the world. And as I said, hopefully at some point we'll hear from you at 877-909-1007. Jared is watching those phone lines like a hawk. And you can also text if you don't want to call in, if you're a little bit mic shy there. You can call in at 419-973-5841. That's 419-973-5841. And you can actually use that number anytime, 24/7. Anytime you have just sort of something that catches your eye or some idea for the show or any sort of feedback, it would be great to hear it. So this is our April 26th show, and this past week was April 22nd, Earth Day, and it was a really nice day. I ended up having my annual Earth Day party. Folks that have been listening for a while know that every year on Earth Day I have a big party. I wasn't able to inflate my giant earth ball. I have a 7-foot diameter earth ball that I like to put out in the yard and people can roll it around, but it was a little too wet for that. I did, however, have my annual hydrogen explosion. That went really well. What I do basically is I take a solar panel, and I have this ancient solar panel that I bought decades ago. It's a 75-watt British Petroleum panel. Yes, BP actually for a little while there was manufacturing solar panels back when they were pretending that BP stood for Beyond Petroleum. But yeah, sadly those days are gone. And I was a little worried this year because I didn't actually remember to get it up until about 11:30 in the morning. So I thought I wasn't going to get very much hydrogen, but no, it made a very decent pop. All you do is put the two ends of the two electrodes, the positive and negative coming off the panels, into some water, and then catch the bubbles coming off the negative electrode. Those are hydrogen bubbles. So I catch them in an inverted pop bottle, and then
Sounds quite alarming.
Well, it's it's just. I don't recommend people actually do this.
Yeah.
No, I'm just describing. Remember, folks, I'm an expert. I've been doing this for years, so don't attempt that at home. But the guests every year get a kick out of the hydrogen explosion. It kind of marks the end of the party. It's like, okay, people wait around for the hydrogen explosion before they go home. But it was a good event. Lots of people talking about the Earth, and it's just a reminder that we were talking about this last week, that really on some level everybody loves the Earth. Everybody loves this planet, and even the people that are actively destroying it, a lot of them feel like somehow what they're doing is, what they're doing is not that bad. And well, like I knew this one woman who we tried to get a plastic bag ban in Bowling Green a few years back, and she spoke up against the plastic bag ban. She said, "Oh, it would be terrible. Society will collapse. Our economy will, no longer function without plastic bags." But then after the thing, but she made it a point to say, "But I'm pro-environment and I compost."
Yay.
So it's like, oh, okay, that's nice. But as we'll hear in one of our stories in Ecological News, she probably would have helped the environment more by getting rid of her plastic and allowing us to get rid of plastic bags in Bowling Green, because these are all things, folks, that we literally have to do. It's not just a choice. It's not just something that people are trying to impose our will on other people. We environmentalists, that's the whole the whole new attack on environmentalists is that they're just, all they care about is imposing their will on people and forcing them to do stuff this way or that way.
Yeah, that really gets me off. It's a lot of fun.
Okay, well, it may be true of some environmentalists, but as a group, what we're trying to do is just, prevent us all from suffering really terrible consequences.
We want to have great-grandchildren in many cases. Or we want for someone to have great-grandchildren.
Yeah,
at least.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. We want there to be future generations. And, that's one reason we call this For a Green Future. Let's see what else. So as I said, we don't really have a guest for today, and just sort of random environmental topics. So as I said, perfect day to call in, 877-909-1007. Speaking of greenness, I was hiking the other day at one of our parks at the Slippery Elm Trail down there in Bowling Green. And I saw on the sidewalk in front of me this brilliant little green bug, and I realized it was an emerald ash borer.
Ooh, uh-oh.
Yeah, and I was kind of shocked to see it, because what has happened around here, and we have listeners all over the country, so this station airs initially in 100.7 FM in Toledo.
Whole streets in Toledo are just like bare and fugly looking now because all the trees on the tree lawns were cut down.
Right, and those were the ash trees. And what happened was, up in Michigan, actually, emerald ash borers got out somewhere around Detroit is where they started.
Yeah.
And the theory is they came over in pallets from China, but they have wiped out the ash tree. There is no ash tree. But that happened, almost 10 years back now. And so I was shocked. These are the first emerald ash borers I've seen in many years. And it just made me wonder, are there still a few ash trees hanging around somewhere? little secret grove that the emerald ash borers just found?
Yeah, they got to be eating something.
Yeah, or is there like maybe their second growth? Maybe some ash trees are starting to come back from root systems or something, and it just got to be enough that they had a population of emerald ash borers. I don't know. It's an interesting.
Finds a way.
Yeah, yeah, and it kind of reminded me of the chestnut, the American chestnut. I've actually gotten on this Facebook group about American chestnut restoration, and there's people who literally they are combing the country. They're going all over some people have made it like their life's mission to find the remaining chestnut trees. And
I think they have some in greenhouses too, and they're experimenting with like more disease-resistant strains or something.
oh yes, there's an ongoing attempt to essentially what they're doing is taking the Asian chestnuts and they're crossbreeding them with the American chestnuts and trying to create a blight-resistant American chestnut. And that's been going on for some time, and it's not terribly successful. I mean, it's sort of successful, but and there are a lot of hybrids out in the wilds now. They're kind of self-reproducing, but they're still not the American chestnut, which puts out this really nice big chestnut that you can roast in the fires, and we're largely responsible for the success of the European colonies, actually.
Wow.
Because what you could do is almost, any time you needed to, you could just go into the woods with a bushel and come out with a bushel of highly nutritious chestnuts. They were the most common tree in the eastern forest. And people, we have grown it. There's been so many generations now that have been chestnut free that people forget that our forests are meant to be full of chestnuts. And when you have that many chestnuts, you can support a lot more other critters. You can support a lot more deer, a lot more squirrels. And when you can support more game animals, then you can support more of the bears and the wolves and the big critters that feed on them and the eagles. And, we are living in an ecosystem that's kind of a shadow of what it should be. And that's true on a whole bunch of different levels, including the ash tree.
You should have megafauna for starters.
Megafauna?
Yeah, giant sloths.
You want the giant sloths back?
Maybe not so much the dire wolves. They frighten me a little.
Well, I mean, there are people working on bringing that back.
Allegedly, yeah. Well, really what they did, though, is just, like, breed regular wolves to be bigger or some crap.
Well, what they did was they managed to get, like, 3 or 4 dire wolf genes into a modern wolf.
Right.
And
did they?
Yeah. And
Okay.
they're claiming that's a dire wolf, but to get an actual dire wolf, you need to hold the whole genome. Basically, it's probably not going to happen.
May not be dire, but they're pretty serious wolves at this point.
Okay. Oh, we have a caller. Hello, caller. What's your name? And thanks for calling.
Hi, Joe. This is Barbie.
Barbie.
I was calling. Yeah, I was calling. Rebecca asked me to chime in a little bit on the mugwort topic.
Oh, mugwort. Oh, that she's going to be talking about later.
Yeah, Barbie is why I decided to do mugwort, because we have some in our kitchen right now, hanging up drying, apparently.
Okay, that's cool. All right, well, what would you like to say about mugwort?
Well, I got a couple references here in front of me. First of all, the folk names for mugwort are Artemis herb, Artemisia, felon herb, muggins, naughty man, old Uncle Henry, sailor's tobacco, and St. John's plant.
Okay.
St. John's plant as opposed to St. John's wort?
Correct.
Okay.
Wow.
I think St. John was really taking credit for a lot of
He was.
plants there. Okay, go on.
Yeah, that was out of Scott Cunningham's book on Encyclopedia of Magical Herbs. But got another one here in front of me, and it's Mugwort's a rampant weed and found all over the northeastern United States. Herbs, herbs grow where they're needed most. With that, Mugwort's prolific growth tells us that we need visionary dreams to move forward. It can supposedly enhance prophetic dreams and enhances lucid dreaming.
Well, that's
there's so much stuff that it's good for. Guides us through release. It's plant for womb healing work.
Wait, what kind of release?
Womb healing.
Oh yeah, womb healing.
WOMB.
Right, but
womb,
just before that, you said some kind of release.
Oh, guides us through release. I'm not sure what that means, but the womb healing, it's good to take at the end of a menstrual cycle to encourage an efficient and full flow, releasing all things stagnant. Also often used as a vaginal steam to support healing fibroids and cysts and cervical issues. And that's from the book Art and Practice of Spiritual Herbalism.
Good for your lady bits.
Yes, very good for the lady bits. But then I got
I need to insert here that we're talking about traditional herbal uses. We're not talking
which it has a lot of.
We're not making any medical claims.
Yes.
Right.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Yes.
Right.
No, not trying to play Dr. Barbie. I don't got the degrees for that. I went to school for art. So.
Okay.
But then there's the Earth Witch's Everyday Herbal, concisely corresponds. It's got a breakdown of a bunch of sections, but the lore for it is Mugwort has been used as a food, medicine, spice, insect repellent, yellow dye, and incense. It has also been used for flavoring beer, hence the name Mugwort.
Oh my!
For moxibustion and in magic. It's called the oldest of plants, mighty against evil in the 10th century Anglo-Saxon 9 herbs prayer.
Okay.
And in Middle Ages in Europe, it's considered a protective herb. Mugwort gathered on St. John's Eve and said to safeguard against diseases and misfortunes of all kinds.
All right. Kind of a wart of all trades.
It has a bewildering array of traditional folk and magical uses and healing uses, some of which have been verified, others not so much.
Okay.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Then it's add mugwort to incense, smoke the leaf, or place a leaf beneath your pillow for prophetic dreams.
Okay.
Take mugwort before tea, before bed for enhancing your dreams.
Wow.
All right. Well,
then
thanks.
There's so many other uses for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for the call. Thanks for the information.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
All right. I think maybe what we'll do this week is we'll then transfer. We'll then switch over right into your. Since we started talking about mugwort, Rebecca, and that's your subject for the day. Let's segue right into that today. We'll go a little bit out of order.
Yeah, I'm glad that Barbie expanded a little because I didn't have to. There were so many folk uses for mugwort that I did not have time to write them all down. So good she expanded. It's basically in the genus Artemisia, related to sunflowers and sage, I believe. And I guess the type species is Artemisia vulgaris, although there's, I think, a number of different species that I ran across. It's an invasive perennial, which has a sage-like aroma and a bitter taste. For cooking, Koreans like it a lot. They put it in soups and all kinds of different things. Also, it's very good with goose. It's good for goose.
Is it good for the gander? Oh, sorry.
Probably. I don't know. Do you eat ganders? Do you actually eat ganders?
But
I don't know.
Well, I don't personally.
It's a cooking question, but if anyone knows, feel free to call in. You can make teas out of it. Let's see, what did Barbie not mention? It's good for anxiety, traditionally, insomnia, colic. Oh, by the way, she mentioned moxibustant. Thanks to my research, I already know what that means. It's a Chinese traditional healing practice where you burn you burn plant material close to the skin. So, which is supposed to heal you from various things. So, also it does to a degree attract pollinators. anyway, and it's supposed to protect from fatigue and evil spirits on journeys also. So that's nice, I guess. Yeah. Some of the ecological benefits, it is soil stabilizing and aerating. It has stolons and rhizomes, stolons being the above-ground stems, rhizomes the below-ground root-like stems. They go so deep, like they anchor things, they aerate the soil, so that's good. It's fast spreading, so it's pretty useful if you have like a hillside or something that's all muddy and bare, looks like it might come down on you any second. It's good for emergencies like that. It contains natural insecticides. According to the Coastal Watershed Council article on 2/7/2022, they're eaten by birds. A lot of birds eat the seeds, and they provide cover and protection for small animals to run around underneath. Native bees also use them for nesting materials, so that's nice. According to the Mudbrick Herb Cottage, you can also use the tree form of mugwort to be a windbreak, which is good because wind will blow away stuff as fast as anything else, as fast as rain or anything. Environmental drawbacks. Some of you probably realized when I said fast spreading and rhizomes and stabilizes soil that we were going to find out that the drawback is that it grows in these dense mats with deep rhizomes and wind-dispersed seeds, so it has two ways of spreading, meaning it's invasive as heck and hard to get rid of once it gets started. It's native to East Asia and Europe, I believe. Likes to grow in riverbanks a lot, but mugwort gets out of control very quickly. It's a allelochemical, meaning that it releases terpenoid chemicals which inhibit other plants' growth. So this plant fights dirty. It can spread from root fragments. Oh, great. So it's not going to help to chop it up, and it contaminates potting soil and things like that a lot, apparently, because for that reason. And also, there are better pollinators out there. Like, not that many things like it. Like, there are things, that more native species like, or just more species like, period. So, yeah, mixed blessing the mugwort. Don't be afraid of taking more than your share because that thing doesn't need to be here anyway.
Okay. Well, that was quite the mugwort episode.
Yes, it was.
All right.
We know a lot about mugwort now.
Yes, much more than I
Yeah.
I knew. I know my late wife was fond of mugwort. She had it in her herbal cabinet there.
Interesting.
All right. Well, thank you, Rebecca. All right. So there was one other thing I wanted to talk about in the first part of the show, and that was I have mentioned before I do watch this YouTube channel by a fella called Anton Petrov. It's got a show called What the Math, but usually what he talks about is astronomy. But sometimes when something really interesting comes along, he'll talk about ecology or biology. In his last episode, he talked about the fact, this recent discovery that it turns out bacteria control rain. Yeah.
What?
Fungi and bacteria. Right.
Okay.
Right.
Explain this to me.
I will.
Okay. Because they're very small. You realize this.
Yes.
Okay.
And we actually kind of presaged this because a long time ago we had an interview with a NASA scientist who studies aeroplankton, and that is the little bacteria and fungi and all the stuff that's up in the air. And what happens is, we talked about Pseudomonas, which they've discovered, up in the clouds. And they found that both Pseudomonas and this particular fungi, basically they provide the nucleation that starts rain.
My goodness.
Yes. And so what they get carried up into the atmosphere by, if we get little dust devils and things, that'll actually lift them up into the air.
That explains that.
And these are
flying fungi. Ah.
Yeah. These fungi and the
what we
bacteria, they feed on leaves and they grow in the soil, and they need the soil to be moist, right?
Right.
And they need enough rain to have plants, to have leaves, to grow on.
So they learned how to make it rain?
So they learned how to make it rain, yes.
Wow.
And the idea, what they've discovered is that the fungi were literally the first terrestrial living things that
Oh my God.
came up out of the
Wow.
ocean and colonized the continents.
So there used to be underwater fungi. Maybe there still are. I don't know.
Yeah. But the idea is that the theory now is that way back from the beginning, from way back then, they developed this ability to basically their shapes and the proteins that are on them are perfectly fitted to make the water molecules that are ice get in there, and it lowers the temperature so that they become actual droplets instead of just ice. And so that's how you get actual rain instead of, pouring. And that's how you make the transfer from water in a cloud to actual rain that starts falling.
My goodness.
And so we're just learning this. We're literally just figuring this out. And
Wild.
I've suspected it for a long time. Actually, I thought tree pollen might be the main factor, but apparently it's these fungi and these bacteria that actually control the rain. And it's just a reminder of the incredible interconnectedness of everything. I mean, when you see a forest, right, you see a whole bunch of trees and you go in there and it's all shady and cool and damp and there's enough rain to support the forest. You don't think about the fact that the bacteria and the fungi in the soil are actually part of what's responsible for creating the environment.
I did not think that ever.
Yeah.
I did not think it.
No, but
It's true.
It is true, and it's a reminder that that all aspects of everything are, created. You can't have a living thing that doesn't have an effect on all the other living things.
Right.
And so this is why it's so important to prevent extinctions, because a lot of people like Trump is making the argument, and Trump's just convened this extinction committee that decided it's okay to kill the last of these whales that are in the Gulf of Mexico, because there's lots of whales, but in order to encourage oil and gas drilling, which is doubly ironic because oil and gas are literally killing us.
Yeah.
So we're willing to kill the whales to get at the oil and gas that's killing us. But the idea that you can push species to extinction that's very different from species becoming naturally extinct.
Yeah.
Because species become naturally extinct in an ecosystem when they're being outcompeted, right?
Right.
But that means that some other organism has sort of picked up their role
Right.
in the ecosystem, and the ecosystem as a whole doesn't collapse.
Yeah.
But what happens when you just sort of pop species out of the ecosystems, now you're making holes in the whole web.
And you don't know, you never know whether that was a supporting whale,
Right.
that was and the whole thing's going to come crashing down, because we don't know everything that whale is doing and how everything about how it's interacting with other species.
Yes, exactly. That's one of the reasons it's so important, not that we don't force things into extinction. And we used to be smart enough to know this. I mean, back when they passed the Endangered Species Act, we were having that dawning of ecological wisdom that, a lot of the indigenous cultures have had it for tens of thousands of years. You mentioned the megafauna.
Well, it just makes sense. If you like to eat something, don't eat all of it, because you're going to need some more next year.
Right. Don't eat all of it, and don't get rid of the conditions. Don't make the ecosystem inhospitable to the thing you want to eat.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And I think, the disappearance of a lot of the megafauna, like the mammoths and the giant sloths that you mentioned, coincided with the arrival of humans on this continent.
Yeah.
And so this is just my own personal theory, I've always thought that maybe that's where the cultural realization out of a lot of indigenous cultures that we can't force anything else out of extinction.
Right. Right.
They were very dependent on things like the sloths and the cave bears.
Yeah, it must have been a bonanza at first.
They would actually
Hot diggity! There's a giant hot dog running around.
Yeah.
It has no fear of humans or any defenses.
Yeah, and they would literally build their homes out of those animals, the mammoths,
Yeah.
the skeletons in their fur. And so when they became extinct, it must have been a huge cultural shock and very difficult for them to recover from. So that's what I think this is all my theory, that maybe at that point they were like, maybe we should not do that with the bison, for example.
Yeah.
Maybe we shouldn't harvest all the bison, and maybe we should make sure that there's like areas that are taboo to hunt in.
Or we're out of sloth now, and that's bad. Maybe we should try not to run out of other things.
Yes, exactly. They realized that this is my theory that you there has to be limits.
Mm-hmm.
Our current society has not really learned that
Not hardly.
that lesson. I mean, not according to the people that are actually running the country right now.
Well, that's
They're
because
trying
we're
to pretend.
delusional as a society about this.
Some
Come
of us
on.
are. I mean,
Yes.
there's battles going on between the people who are pretending there's no way or no need to limit human activity, and the people who are saying, okay, that's crazy.
Yes, there is.
Yeah. You have to live within reasonable limits, not because we enjoy forcing limits on people, but
Yeah.
just because there are hard physical limits.
Yeah.
When your mother says, don't go playing on that rusty railing, which is obviously coming loose and about to go over Niagara Falls, it's not because she's being mean.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's because she
Because
doesn't
mommy
want
likes you.
Yeah, it's because she doesn't want to see you go over Niagara Falls. So when us environmentalists are saying we've got to get off of fossil fuels, it's not because we don't like the fact that people are driving up and down the street with these noisy cars and racing their engines and causing people to go deaf, although most of us don't like it.
We don't like that either. very
But
much.
not because we don't like it. It's because fossil fuels are literally killing all of us. And
In my neighborhood, it's loud radios and really cool looking, lights on the wheels and stuff.
well, that's better than Bowling Green, where it's just
Yeah.
people who have the mufflers that are designed to
Exactly.
exploding noises.
You go ahead and get your little wheels that make you look like you're floating. That's better.
Yeah, yeah. Plus, you can do that with an electric car.
Get your car completely painted with the Gucci label. We love it.
Okay. All right. Well, that's it for the first half of the show. And now it's time to thank our patrons. And our patrons are wonderful people who've gone to patreon.com. That's Patreon. There, they searched for A Green Future. Up popped our Patreon page. They scrolled through looking at the different levels of membership, and they picked a level of membership that matched their budget. And we are eternally grateful to our patrons because they are the ones who are making this show possible. So thank you to our wonderful, intelligent, handsome patrons.
Yes.
Okay, so now on to ecological news. And I could just remind you could still call in at any time, 877-909-1007. Okay, ecological news. And the first thing, we start off with an HB6 update.
Oh, boy.
And we never did come up with an HB6 theme music, but
No.
man, we should have. All right.
Dun, dun, dun.
So this is a story put out by AP. Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, there you go.
Put out by AP back on April 19th. And the
Right.
title is Republicans Plan Big Spending to Keep Ohio Senate Seat. A Bribery Scandal Adds to Their Challenges. And just a reminder to everybody, HB6 was the $60 million plus bribery scandal where First Energy bribed a bunch of Ohio legislators to pass a $1 billion bailout for Ohio's nuke plants, the Davis, Bessie, and Perry nuke plants.
Way to go, Ohio, as Chrissy Hines said.
And I can say that because First Energy pled guilty to it. I can't.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and Larry Householder was convicted of it.
Yeah.
But I can't say beyond that.
Right.
And so
yeah.
one of the people that there has been a lot of speculation that they might have been involved is our current senator, Husted.
Oh, man.
and who is now running for re-election. And Husted, what happened is they just had a criminal trial for two of the people involved, Chuck Jones and Michael Dowling. They were the CEO. Chuck Jones was the CEO, and Michael Dowling was the vice president of First Energy at the time of the bribery. They just had a trial that was a mistrial. The jury didn't come to a conclusion, and part of the reason was a whole bunch of important information was kept from them by the judge. But anyway, it came out during that trial that Husted, at the critical time when they were crafting the whole House Bill 6, had a whole bunch of meetings with Chuck Jones and Sam Randazzo,
Interesting.
who was the head of the Public Utility Commission of Ohio, who helped draft HB 6.
I wonder why that was.
And we have to wonder.
Seems like a heck of a coincidence.
Yeah, and Husted himself has said that he had nothing to do with House Bill 6, even though he was meeting with these two people very frequently as House Bill 6 was being drafted. He claims, quote, "I wasn't involved in the conversation," period. So you do kind of have to wonder what conversations he was having. Maybe they were just trying to figure out where to go for dinner.
Yeah, that was probably it. Yeah.
But Neil Clark's Freedom Frontier. Neil Clark was one of the lobbyists who committed suicide over this. Who actually he had a PAC that donated a lot of money to the campaign because Husted was at the time lieutenant governor, and was involved in the reelection of Michael DeWine, and Neil Clark's Freedom Frontier PAC gave them a lot of money, and also Sam Randazzo, I should mention, committed suicide. So two of these co-conspirators committed suicide. Well, we won't know exactly what they were talking about, but it's looking like this might affect his current campaign. And so the Republican Senate Leadership Fund is earmarking $80 million roughly to try to ensure that he gets reelected this cycle. Ecologically, environmentally speaking, he does not have that good a record. One of the biggest votes he just took was the vote we reported on last week, where the Congress has decided to destroy the Minnesota boundary waters, the largest wetland in North America and one of the largest in the world. They've opened it up to sulfide ore mining, which is copper mining, by a Chilean mining company who is going to take all that copper and send it off to China. So the U.S. doesn't actually get any benefit from it.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah, and they cheated.
I hope they'll pay any taxes even?
No.
Hire any American? No, okay, never mind.
Yeah.
Silly me.
Are you kidding? But they cheated in order to do this. They used something called the Congressional Review Act, which is supposed to be something that Congress can bring if they pass a law or if there's a regulation passed. And within 30 days, Congress can say, wait a minute, FERC or whoever creates the regulation, we don't like that regulation, it should be canceled. They used it on this, there was a regulation saying that you couldn't mine on the edge of the boundary waters because it would destroy the boundary waters. And
copper mining. That's
really,
really messy.
It's really messy, really bad. But they claimed that this regulation was drafted 3 years ago. But they said, oh, wait a minute, we forgot to dot the I and cross the T. And so they republished the regulation, and that allowed the Congress to restart the Congressional Review Act. So in other words, it was a collusion between the executive branch and the Republican Party to, reopen something that should have been closed 3 years ago. And he voted for it. The vote was actually 50-49. So if Husted had voted the right way, it would have failed. And they wouldn't have been this cheating that they've created this habit, that they can basically redo any law
Oh, wow.
or any regulation
Ripples
by
in a
republishing
pond.
it.
Drop in a pebble and wow.
And so that was just one example of an incredibly anti-environmental thing
Yeah.
that John Husted did. And this whole HB6 thing, we'll have to see what happens with it. It's getting kind of hot for Mr. Husted. Okay, next story. PV Magazine on April 17th. And the title is, New Metric Shows Renewables Are 53% Cheaper than Nuclear Power. And what they did here is they created something called a system-based levelized cost of energy. So what they've always done in the past is they've taken the cost of solar and wind, and they did what was called levelized cost analysis. And using that, solar and wind turned out to be like a tenth the cost of nuclear, for example.
Mm-hmm.
But the pro-nuclear people have said, oh, well, what about the cost of redoing the grid to accept it? And what about the cost of this? And what about the cost of that? And so they've refused to accept levelized cost of energy estimates. They just reject them. They say, oh, that's false.
Okay.
Nukes
Whatever.
have to be cheaper, even though your numbers say they're 10 times cheaper.
Because we've already decided they're cheaper.
Yeah, exactly. So what they did was they said, okay, we will take into account all those things.
Okay.
And they included the cost of storage. They included the cost of revamping the grid. And they found that a wind and solar with storage comes out to 5.4 cents per kilowatt hour, while nukes, even in the best case scenario, comes out to 16.6.
Even with all that stuff they wanted us to take into account.
Right. So
Yeah.
even taking all that stuff into account, it's almost 3 times as expensive to have nuclear power as it is to have wind and solar. And they even gave nuclear a whole bunch of advantages in that they didn't include the cost of getting rid of nuclear waste.
God.
And they didn't include the lost opportunity cost,
Right.
because as you're taking your decade to build your nuke plant, you have to keep using fossil fuels if you're not building wind and solar, because you're
Yeah.
building nukes. And so that is very expensive and very,
Because it would be terrible if we waited 10 years and then turned out we didn't need that nuke plant because we had too much wind and solar.
right.
We don't want that.
No. So this is basically being presented as, okay, so we did all that stuff you nukesters say we've left out of the levelized cost with this system-based levelized cost, and solar and wind are still, way, way cheaper. So take that. Argument settled. Next story, and this is a case of an argument not being settled, unfortunately. This is PowerMag.com back on March 2nd, and there was an opinion piece in there, and the title was America's Once-in-a-Generation Energy Opportunity. And that sounds like a hopeful article, and it was written by the Republican governor of Utah, Spencer Cox, and the Democratic governor of Hawaii, Josh Green, misnamed. And what they're saying is they want nuclear power. And the reason this is so particularly egregious is that just this past February, and we had Linda Williams on, who was from Hawaii and part of a task force that was put in place by the Hawaiian legislature. They looked at nuclear power for Hawaii and they rejected it. They were like, it's too expensive. We have a lot of volcanic activity,
And floods. I just saw this article about, it was a video about like a bunch of people trying to saving horses from a flood.
Yeah.
And horses and people, whoever they found,
Right. They've got floods.
Yeah.
They've got lava flows.
Yeah. That's a problem.
And there's nowhere to evacuate to.
They've got cookie frogs, but that's not a nuclear problem.
No, that is. Yeah, those are supposed to be in Puerto Rico.
Yeah, but they're not.
Yeah, so they've got coqui frogs. Who knows what the coqui frogs have mutated to?
Exactly.
Having a nuclear plant.
Giant man-eating fanged cookie frogs.
So, but the basic point is that they just literally, Hawaii just did this study, and like a few weeks later, the governor of Hawaii writes this big opinion piece saying that we should have nuclear power. And right now, Hawaii is already 22% solar powered, which has reduced their oil use by 57 million gallons per year. And so the answer there, the path there is pretty obvious. You want to go more into the solar and more into the wind. And instead, he's saying that maybe the Hawaiian legislature should have some sort of panel, have some sort of task force to look at this question, even though literally just the month before they had a panel that took a year. They took a year plus a few months, and they very carefully looked at all the angles of it. They had physicists on there. They had nuclear engineers on that panel, and they all unanimously came up with the idea that it is not a good idea for Hawaii. But what's happening more and more is Democrats in particular are ignoring the science, ignoring the results of studies like that, and pushing the nukes. And I'm at a loss to understand why.
They're all, we need nuclear because we said so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that interview with Linda Williams was our February 15th episode back on episode 363, in case you're interested. All right. Well, we have another story. Rebecca, you want to take this one? Or?
Sure thing. Yeah, I just ran across this while I was just kind of looking at stuff this week. A place kind of in northern Ohio, kind of near here, I think, the Cedar Bog Nature Preserve has been dedicated last Thursday as an old-growth forest site. Apparently, there's something called the Old Growth Forest Network, which is a national effort to protect and highlight ancient forests for public enjoyment and education. This is all according to peakohio.com. .com. Okay.
P-E-A-K?
Yeah, something like that. P-E-A-K, yeah.
Indeed.
But yeah, so they're trying to protect these places from logging and keep them open to visitors and create a nationwide network. Cedar bog apparently is a rare alkaline fen. Alkaline is the opposite of acidy.
Right.
Yeah. I guess most of them are fairly, you hear about bogs and acid and bodies being preserved, peat bogs, that kind of thing. It was formed 12 to 18,000 years ago during the Wisconsin glaciation, and it's considered to be one of Ohio's premier natural areas. It also was the first state-funded nature preserve in Ohio, but it's operated by the Cedar Bog Association in partnership with the Ohio History Connection and is a national natural landmark. Okay, did not know. Ooh, ranks among the highest in the state for plant diversity. So that's pretty cool. It hasn't been logged in the past because it's mushy, being a bog.
Uh-huh.
What were we? Okay, a bog is contained. That's the difference between a swamp, a bog, and a marsh or whatever. Remember when I did that whole thing, and I can't remember any of it now, but I think it has like sort of clay underneath of it so that the water in the bog stays where it's at and doesn't like leach into the soil around it as a deal with bogs, right?
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, and there was something about mats, like floating mats of vegetation and earth.
Yes, quaking bogs.
Okay.
Yeah, those are cool. I've been on a few of those where you don't you don't actually want to walk on the right down the middle of the trail because on a quaking bog because they tend to wear through. And I was walking on a quaking bog once, and one of my legs did pop through, and I went down it to about my knee level, and I suddenly realized that if you go under in one of those things, you might never.
Because you got a bunch of you're under dirt and matted vegetation
and trees.
It's hard to break through. Possibly
there could be little trees growing on bogs. Yeah.
You remember my uncle ended up wading through a bog up to his chest or something on one of his adventures, and my poor cousin, his son, had to come about. Had to put up with it, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, is that about
Okay. Oh, I found a bog. A bog is a nutrient-poor, acidic wetland ecosystem that accumulates acidic peat from decayed moss and vegetation. Cool, temperate northern climes, critical carbon sinks. Okay, and flood control. Sometimes they have unique carnivorous plants, so that's pretty cool.
Oh, yes. Yeah, the sundews and the pitcher plants. Those are.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I got 2 more stories to get through, so thank you for that news.
Welcome.
About bogs in Northwest Ohio.
Yep.
Did we say exactly where that was?
Okay. I got. I'll look. You can.
You look for it, and I'll go on to the next story.
Yeah.
DW, the German public TV station.
It's in Champaign County, Ohio. I'm not sure where that is.
Champaign County. Okay.
Okay.
Great. DW, the German public TV station, just did a show called Nano and Microplastics, the Invisible Danger to the Body. And they went into the sort of the history of us realizing that nano and microplastics were a problem. We first started noticing it in sea life and plankton way back in 2007. It wasn't until 2017 that a fellow named Philip Schwabel did the first study and found, well, he actually studied human fecal.
Okay, it's actually sort of, Cedar Bog is northeast of Dayton. I did not know that. I assumed it was near Cedar Point because everything's named Cedar up there.
Okay, northeast of Dayton, got it.
Yeah.
So anyway, Philip Schwabel did this study of human fecal matter, and it's kind of funny, he asked for stool samples from scientists around the world.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. He sent letters out saying, would you please send me your... And a lot of them did. And
I'm a qualified scientist and not just a weirdo, I promise.
Right. And what he discovered was it didn't matter where in the world you were. All kinds of different diets, all kinds of different climates, whatever. Everybody had nano and microplastics in their stools. And so what we've discovered since then is that all food now has plastic in it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter, like lettuce has the most, or with like 50,000 parts per gram. Apples have lettuce has the least with 50,000 parts per gram. Apples have like 100,000 parts per gram, but it's in all fruits, all meats, everywhere. And so the studies have been to try to determine, is this actually hurting us? Okay, it is everywhere. It's in every human organ, every human excretion, from, breast milk to sweat, and they've been finding, what they've talked about in this special was they're finding that these nanoplastics and microplastics, they can overwhelm the immune system if there's too many of them. The body just kind of freaks out. It's like, we're full of something, and it tries to figure out what it is. And it can also cause inflammation in the lungs and intestines, and it can cause DNA damage. And there is now some suggestion that, yes, they can increase your chances of getting the dreaded cancer. One interesting thing I did not know is that painting apparently is one of the biggest sources of nanoplastics.
Oh, crap.
Yeah, when they like spray paint on bridges and houses and stuff,
Okay.
that they're releasing like 4.6 million tons a year.
Oh, my gosh.
Of microplastics.
Oh.
Next is not surprising. I thought this was number one, actually, were tires. And, because as tires roll down the road, they're leaving clouds of these microplastics.
Wow.
Clothing is also a big source because there's a lot of nylon and polyester.
Yeah.
Put it through the dryer, and all these little particles come tumbling off. There is variation in terms of how much food you eat.
So we're not just talking like the scratchy stuff they put in face cleaners or whatever.
No.
This is way beyond, or glitter. It's not that. It's
No.
everything we have in here. Oh, boy.
The French have some of the least levels of microplastics in their food. They eat about 2 grams a month.
Okay.
The U.S., we eat about 2.5 grams a month. Indonesians eat 13 grams a month. So they're...
I'm just picturing somebody being like, pass the microplastic shaker, honey.
we might as well, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, but take a look at that. It's an hour-long show. It's worth watching if you care about the issue. Okay. Final story. And we've timed this out just about right. Thank you, Rebecca. And this is a very hopeful story. Right on April 28th or 29th in Santa Marta, Colombia, there is a huge conference going on, 53 countries, and it's the first international conference on transitioning away from fossil fuels.
Cool.
And what these are the countries that have gotten so frustrated with the United Nations failed climate, conference of parties, which was supposed to deal with carbon dioxide and global warming. They've said, okay, we are just going to go do this ourselves.
Yeah, we're on our own here.
Screw you, big countries. We are just going to get off of fossil fuels completely. And so this is a conference not to decide if they're going to do something, not to make some sort of treaty. These are just, here's how we're doing it. What are you doing? Oh, that works. Oh, we're doing this. Oh, that works. And so they've just decided they're going to do it. The 53 includes a whole bunch of different countries, including the UK, EU, Tuvalu, Australia, Spain, Singapore, Brazil, Italy, Palau, Sri Lanka. But what's notable is who's not there. And who is not there is U.S., Russia, China, Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Israel, India. In other words,
Too much money.
too much dependence on oil. These are all the smaller countries that are saying, screw you, big fossil fuel company countries. We're just going to do this. And so it's very hopeful. They're really just going to go ahead and do it. So I'm very happy about this. The three goals are fiscal dependence of public debt, productive reconversion without creating new forms of extraction, and shared responsibility and joint efforts. So,
Bravo.
good on you. It's being done by both Colombia and the Netherlands. So, thank you so much for organizing that, and our prayers go with you. 50 countries. All right, that's it for this show. Thank you so much for listening. This is Joe DeMare
And Rebecca Wood.
You're signing off.
Spun. No more three-headed frogs or kids with leukemia. Nuclear power ain't fit for a dog. The sun done give us all we need to make this country run. But that nuclear power's got us fussing and fighting, and I do believe it's time we was done. No nukes!